One thing we all deal with on a constant basis is that all elusive balance. Whether it's between work and family, or between learning and davening. There are always different balancing acts that we try to achieve that perfect balance. And somehow it just doesn't come out right. We're not the only ones who had to deal with this issue. This is an old story. In relationships, there's also a balance on a more specific level. There's the idea of awe and fear. Awe and love. We have with Hashem, Ava and Yira. And there's a balance. Every time we make a bracha, we say, Baruch Atah Hashem. We're talking to God, you, the second person. And right away we jump to Elokeinu Melech HaOlam. God is God of the master of the entire universe. There's the Ava, and then it goes to the Yira. And in every relationship, there's an idea of the boundaries, and then just the love that just doesn't stop. Moshe Rabbeinu in this week's Parsha is given a command, and he messes up, seems like he messes up, and he doesn't go into Israel because of that, and everybody's trying to figure out, what did he do wrong? The Ar Chaim HaKadosh has 10 mahalchim, 10 different ways to understand what was Moshe's mistake. So I'd like to share with you maybe a novel one. So the people don't have water to drink. Miriam dies, the well dries up, no one's got no water. So Hashem tells Moshe, he says, take your staff, gather the people, you and Aaron, v'dibartem el hasel, and speak to the rock, le'ineim, v'nasan meimav, and let this rock give forth its water. And they go out, they take the stick, come to the rock, and Moshe hits the rock. And Rashi says, you know what the issue here was? Is that he hit the rock, and he didn't speak to the rock. The question is, though, if Moshe was meant to just speak to the rock, why was he told to take the staff? So let's understand, what was the issue here? Why did Moshe hit the rock? Why didn't he speak to the rock? So the former chief rabbi of the UK, Rabbi Jonathan Sachs, he offers the following explanation, which is interesting. He says that all along, we've been dealing with slaves. And the way you get a slave to do something, you give him a zet. You give him a whack. He's not listening, you give him a whack, and he does it. There's a transition period here now. You see, these people were about to go into the land of Israel. They weren't slaves anymore. You couldn't hit them. You had to speak to them. A shift in the leadership needed to take place. Moshe wasn't ready to do it anymore. He had one mahalach, one way of speaking to the people, that was with the stick. The people needed a different mahalach now. They needed to be spoken to. A beautiful idea. But the question that begs to be answered is, so why take the stick? If God wanted him to speak, so why tell him to take the stick? And I think the answer is because this idea of balance. Not always does love, which is necessary, work. It's got to come along with the stick sometimes. Even if you're not going to use the stick, sometimes you got to stand there with the stick. And that's why Moshe was told to take it, not to use it. But in this transition period, you still need to hold the staff in your hand. You need an element of yira, an element of awe for that love to be able, it means you need some boundaries. Boundaries still need to be set. But now the main avodah was through ava, was through love, was through speech. Right. Every day, we try to strike up the right balance between ava and yira, between awe and love, between setting boundaries and that overwhelming, overdosing of love. May HaKadosh Baruch Hu give us the siyata d'shmaya, heavenly assistance in striking that right balance, and being able to hold the stick and pour out our heart with love.